Welcome back, creators. So, who is this mystery character? This has been driving me crazy the past 24 hours, as I'm sure it has you guys. So, I want to just give my thoughts on the whole situation, let you guys know what I think, and what are the most likely candidates to fill this box with a question mark in it. We don't know what it is. Now, I do want to preface this. It is not confirmed to be a playable character. That is speculation. The way the website is set up, it only makes sense, right? It shows modern and classic, and then shadow and so who is that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's what's really hard because there are so many possibilities. My best guess is that it's E123 Omega. That's it. Rouge is already in Generations. A lot of characters are already in Generations. Silver being one of them, although he's just a boss battle, so I feel like there's some leniency there. He could appear in Shadow's story and have maybe some levels and some gameplay, or at least a part in the story, right? Be in some cutscenes, have some interaction with Shadow. You know, all these things are possible. I just really don't know what direction they're going to choose to go in, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I wanted to discuss this because it potentially has some very major implications for what this game is really about story-wise, and what characters could we potentially see joining forces with Shadow to face off against Black Doom or Mephiles or both. Now, whether or not Mephiles is in the game or he is that secondary playable character, that doesn't really make too much sense to me. He would definitely be a boss battle, if anything, or maybe be significant to the plot overall. I don't know, but what I know for certain is that no, it is not Mephiles who is the secondary playable character, if there even is a secondary playable character. The way it's set up on the website, it's just too, like, why would they put the question mark there at all? It's too much of a tease. It's definitely not just for a skin or anything like that. It's a separate character that will be playable. How much will they be playable? How many levels? I don't know. Is it like, you know, they share one act per zone? Like, how are they going to structure it? We just don't really know the answers to that, but we can speculate, and that's what I want to do. I want to speculate on who could potentially be this mystery character. If Mephiles is involved in this, then Silver, it would make sense for him to be involved. It's not just about Black Doom, right? Clearly, there's other villains we're going to be facing off from Shadow's past, and I think Mephiles being one of them, that's one of Silver's biggest enemies. You know, Mephiles manipulated him into trying to get him to kill Sonic, and so his whole, like, time travel manipulation, it really fits Generations. It really fits the Time Eater. The Time Eater could be a creation of Mephiles, or it could be Mephiles. We still don't know. But my theory is that if it is Silver, then we're definitely seeing Mephiles. If it's not Silver, then Mephiles may be off the table. Maybe they do want to save him for a future game. I don't know. But I feel like the stars are aligning, and it just makes sense that Mephiles would be here. So Silver is like where my mind went to first, but once I thought about it, I'm like, you know what, it's probably more likely going to be Omega or Rouge. We know that those characters have not been playable in a long time. If you don't count Dream Team, it's been a little while. Omega especially, I don't think he's been playable at all. I get a little confused because I'm like, wait a minute, didn't I play as him in a game recently? Yeah, that was Project 06. That was not an official game. So yeah, it's been a while for Omega, and I feel like this would actually be extremely fitting for him to make a return and be playable. Do I think he would have boost gameplay? No, he would probably have his own gameplay, but that would be a very ambitious thing to do, and could get backlash if people don't like the mech gameplay, the shooting. You know, it would be more of that. It would be a lot less platforming. At least that's what I'm assuming. Now, another potential thing I want to get out of the way is that, are they actually making Terios a separate character, this alternate version of Shadow from another universe? Now that gets into multiverse stuff. Generations is just about time and multiple timelines. It does not extend to multiple universes and the whole multiverse stuff. You know, I don't think we're going that far, so I don't think Terios would be his own character. It seems like he's just a skin. My secondary theory is Eclipse. Eclipse the Darkling is a character created by Black Doom to sort of be the answer to Shadow. He's like the equivalent, but he's full alien DNA. I wouldn't think Eclipse would be possible because he is a very obscure character. He's only been in the Archie comics. I believe he is a character that Sega and Sonic Team have the rights to, so they could use him if they wanted to in a game. So the only thing I could think is that the reason Shadow's learning about his Doom powers is because Eclipse is working with him and is helping him discover that side of himself, right? Teaching him all these alien powers. It only makes sense to me. If it wasn't for the Doom powers, I wouldn't think it's Eclipse at all, but because we're seeing the Doom powers and they look like powers that Eclipse would have, it's very strange to not think maybe that character that is directly tied to Shadow Shadow and Black Doom could be the secondary playable character. He would play very similarly to Shadow with some minor differences here and there. But that is one of my biggest predictions, actually, and it seems like a stretch, and it is a stretch. It is a little crazy to think it could be that much of an obscure character. Like, even Silver has a better chance than Eclipse. But when you look at the story, it just makes more sense for it to be Eclipse. Now, let's say it's not Silver or Eclipse, and it's not Omega, and it's not Rouge. Who could it be? Well, there's a few other possibilities. Espio the Chameleon. We haven't seen him in a long time. He wasn't even in Team Sonic Racing. He's just sort of been absent, and him and Espio did have a lot of cutscenes together in Shadow 05, so it is possible that they could team up together and do something like this. But then you think about the fact that Espio's in Generations. He's one of the characters you unlock in Seaside Hill, so it doesn't make much sense for it to be him. Charmy B is off the table. I'm not even going to talk about that one.
Hey, Shadow!
And so I think you're left with 4 major candidates: Omega, Rouge, Silver, Eclipse. If it's not any of those 4, I am completely lost. It could be an original character. It could also be a transformation for Shadow we have not seen before. It could be Doom Shadow. I don't know what that would look like if he just completely goes full alien, you know, and just looks like a xenomorph or something. I have no idea. That would be kind of strange, but hey, new transformations have been coming out. So because we got Supersonic 2, we could see this, a completely Black Arm DNA powered Shadow with the wings and all these other different abilities like all at once. It would be weird, but anything's possible at this point. Those are my major predictions. Now, I think if we're going more grounded and I'm really thinking about reality, like what it really could be, not just what I want it to be and what makes sense to the lore, I would say Omega or Silver. I think those are my top 2 picks, and I could be completely wrong. This would be a weird way. Someone did say it would be weird if they, throughout all the marketing, just didn't mention Silver and kept him hidden this whole time. Like, fans have been asking for that for a long time, so they would market it. They would have showed us by now, or at least that's what we think. We still have a couple months away before we actually get to October, more than a couple months. So there's still more marketing for them to do. We're not done with the marketing, right? We've barely actually seen any of the game. They've been using a lot of Generations footage as filler, so we haven't been able to see much new things. So I really think it's still possible to reveal new playable characters, 100%. I mean, if Super Smash Bros. Can keep characters hidden for a long time, I mean, so can Sega and Sonic Team. You know, if they don't want to reveal all the playable characters at once, they won't do that. But I do think it makes sense, and I never really thought of it that, oh, Shadow Generations, there's only Shadow, because there's obviously no classic Shadow, and I'm not even going to get into that, but that character doesn't exist and it doesn't make any sense. So that's clearly not what it is. So realistically, it can only be a character that Shadow has had a connection to in his past. And Team Dark, Silver, hell, even Blaze is a possibility, but I feel like it wouldn't make much sense. They would have to explain, why is she here? Why is she helping Shadow? You know, they'd have to really get into all of that and make it make sense. And so as much as I'd love to see a Shadow and Blaze thing together, that'd be such a cool dynamic, and we've never seen those characters interact officially, so it would be really cool. Don't get me wrong, I just don't think it makes any sense. And they would probably save Blaze either for her own game or some new game with her and Sonic playable together. You know, I don't think they would put her in Shadow Generations. It just doesn't make that much sense. So who I want it to be is Eclipse. That way they could introduce the character into the IDW comics, and maybe this game ends in a way where Black Doom doesn't die. Maybe he lives on. Maybe he says, I'm going to come back in 50 years, and maybe it sets up for some sort of sequel. Maybe Eclipse is teased at the end, and then he's a playable skin later. Like, who knows what this extra little box with a question mark is? But we are going to find out really soon with that animation coming out this Saturday, which I will be covering. I'm hoping that we get some sort of reveal for who this character is in that animation. And I'm sure the story of that animation is going to basically be like how we got to the start of Shadow Generation. So showing everything that took place before, and then the game starts right where the animation ends. That's sort of my theory. And then it's either we see the character there or they reveal it later on down the line. They did say there's extra content coming around the holidays, so that means maybe around the winter holiday time we'll be be able to see what this extra content is. Does it involve this character, right? What are they setting up here? It's really interesting. I don't think we've had this level of like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do. What's going to happen, since Generations itself. So it's been many years since we've had this like level of speculation and also hype. So the only thing I can say is, try and keep your hype levels low. Don't get too crazy with theories, and we'll see what happens, right? We just have to wait and see. But I'm not going to lie, the speculation of it, the mystery of it is very fun, and it does hype you up. I think regardless of how you feel about the game, this is pretty exciting. So I don't think they would put this here. They know us Sonic fans. We look at every little detail. We're going to think exactly how the website has designed it to make us think, which is there is another missing playable character. There is a part of this game that they're not showing us and they're not talking about. And you know what? If you really add up all the footage we've seen of this game, it's not much. They reuse a lot of old footage. They reuse a lot of Generations footage. They reuse stuff that was from the first trailer. We only got a glimpse at a couple new levels, and that's it. And maybe a cutscene. We just don't know. I don't even know if they're telling us the truth about how long this game is, because they say it's slightly shorter than Generations, but they must be packing a lot in here. I don't know. And maybe in terms of story, it's longer, but maybe the amount of levels are shorter than Generations. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, I did want to mention that I did see that Saturn Sonic skin for Classic Sonic, which is fucking beautiful. I love it. It looks great. As you know, or if you don't know, Sonic R is one of my favorite games. So even though it's not the same model from R, it looks close enough. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with it. It looks beautiful. And I hope we get more skins for this game, which if you want to hear me talk about how Sonic R could inspire the next Sonic game or the Frontier sequel, I'll leave a link in the description for that video. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, creators.